Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be getting ready and I wanted to share with you some of the top makeup artist tips that I have been collecting and seeing around the globe over the last couple of weeks. I've done many of these types of videos in the past, but it's always nice to have a little friendly reminder, a little check-in with your own makeup application tips. And sometimes it's nice to be able to get a glimpse at what the professional pro makeup artists are doing and how you can apply that into your everyday makeup routine to make things better and make things look more fabulous and perhaps even easier. And you might learn a thing or two, or maybe if you've seen it before, it might be helpful to just have as a little reminder. So I'm going to be doing my makeup today. I have a little list of some of the top tips that I've been picking up. I also have a couple of products that I'm excited to try today. So let us dive in. The face is primed and ready. I filled in my brows a little bit just because it drives me crazy. And the little bangs are clipped away. So let's begin with the first tip. This one comes from Kevin Kodra. It's a tip that I saw on TikTok and I also saw Huda Beauty do it. And that is applying your thick cream, your skincare, and letting it sit in for a moment before doing anything else. Now, this is not a new concept whatsoever. There are so many makeup artists who go on and on and on about how important the skin prep is. Some people even do like a full masking routine and a whole face massage before they even begin applying makeup products onto their clients. I've seen Hung Van Gogh talk about that a lot. Patrick Ta talks about that a lot. Pretty much every makeup artist that I've ever watched or met has really emphasized the skincare. And skincare in particular is something that I've really decided to focus on in my own makeup application. I've kind of given up primers for the most part when it comes to hydrating things. So I'm gonna go in with my thick cream. This is the La Roche-Posay cream that I have been loving so much, especially going into the fall and winter. This is going to be mandatory for me. And I'm gonna take a little dollop of this. This is a really thick cream. The Embryolisse Les Crèmes Concentrées is also another product that works perfectly for this. And when you apply it onto your face, it looks white. It kind of looks a little bit scary, but if you have dry skin, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. And so the idea is that you apply this on, kind of massage it into your skin, press it into your skin, however much you want to do, but let it sit and settle in. Sometimes with this product in particular, there can be a little bit of a white cast left over. And if I were to go in and apply my makeup right away, right on top of it, it would just wipe away. It would curdle away. It would do nothing. So making sure that you give it a minute to sit and soak into the skin, maybe even layer it up if you want to. Listen, I am so dry right now. My hands, oh my God, I'm like peeling away. I'm so dry. I can even put in another little layer and just pat it around where I get the most dry. You can sit and do a little facial massage, whatever you want. Just let your skincare products sit and soak in. Now, I know sometimes this can be a little bit tough in the morning, especially if we are getting ready quick, we are on the go, going to work. We don't have time to sit and let all these things soak in and faff about. But for example, you could do your skincare, do this, let it sit and soak in, and then go and grab your coffee, maybe go and grab your breakfast, and then do your makeup after, whatever you feel. I am having a Celsius on this fine morning. I've also got my water on deck. We're just hydrating on all levels today. So just give it a minute and you can literally watch your skincare soak into your face and you can actually see the hydration happening. So this little balm, beautiful, beautiful. And if you're using thick skincare prepping products, just to make sure to give it a minute to sit and soak in. Again, this might be something that you're already doing. You might not have thought about it, but giving it a minute to sit and soak in before doing anything else is always a great top tip. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, the majority of the base products and the base techniques that we're doing today, we're taking from Katie Jane Hughes, who is someone who I have loved to follow and learn from for so many years. I've met her, she's just absolutely divine. And she's such a giving makeup artist in the space. She just really gives all the people all the information. She's so generous with her tips and the information and the knowledge and the education that she gives out to the people. So I also just really love her makeup technique. She plays and has so much fun with makeup and so much color, yet at the same time, it feels so natural and doable for the everyday person. So for someone like me who really doesn't love to play with makeup all that much, Katie Jane Hughes just has the makeup style that I adore. So a lot of this is going to be inspired by her today. And she has been talking a lot on TikTok specifically lately about priming the brush. And she talks a lot about that when it comes to concealer. But I think in general, what all makeup artists do is apply tiny, tiny layers of product. And when I am sitting here doing my own makeup, I just load so much product onto my face. And even though I do this type of video all the time and I'm constantly reminded by the makeup artist that less is more, I just always need a little reminder. And a big tip when it comes to priming the brush and that general idea of using less product is to just not apply the products directly onto your face. That's the biggest tip. And in doing so, you kind of inherently already are priming the brush. So I'm gonna do the Katie Jane Hughes kind of underpainting, layering method. I'm gonna start with my contour. This is the Dior Beauty contour. And instead of just swiping it onto my cheeks, which is what I would often do, especially with a contour product, I'm gonna buff that into my brush and be using the palm of my hand the entire time. So I'm gonna prime the brush with my contour, and especially with a product like this, like I did the tiniest little bit primed it into the palm of my hand and there's still that much product. It just allows you to not go overboard and to build up those layers as you need. So yeah, that was already a lot. I could probably actually take this amount of the contour that I just put on and use this over my entire face. But when I'm doing a really light natural makeup, I love to do this underpainting method. And Katie Jane Hughes for so long talked about applying your bronzer and your contouring products underneath your base products because it's kind of adding a layer of coverage on its own. It's adding a layer of color onto your face. And in doing so, you almost end up naturally adding less product on top of that, which can be so nice. So just adding that little bit of warmth and contour around my face. This one's in the shade Light, but it's actually got quite a nice warm hue, so I feel like I can use it for both, especially when I am catering to my more pale skin. I don't really feel the need to go in with both a contour and a bronzing product. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this in light amounts all over the face. I'm just blending this onto my cheekbone, up on my forehead, my nose, and also my jawline. It already kind of looks like I have a little sun-kissed moment. I've got some coverage, and we haven't even applied any specific coverage, which is so great. So now we can go in with our concealing and correcting products. Now, I did recently attend a Bobbi Brown masterclass where the style shake-up, the fabulous Bobbi Brown global makeup artist, was there teaching us all of her tips and tricks. I actually took notes. We were like seated at a desk and I was taking notes. I took so many notes at this masterclass and absorbing everything like a sponge. And I got honestly quite a few great tips, and I think it's interesting to see how certain makeup artists feel about specific products. So there's a lot of makeup artists who are like fully against primers. There's a lot of makeup artists who are totally for primers, and when it comes to like eyeshadow primers, face primers, specific products, like it's really so totally dependent on the person. So the Bobbi Brown side in particular, she was very much for the correctors, and color correctors, under eye correctors is another product category that I was kind of like, you know what, I don't need this in my life anymore. I included it in the products I'm no longer buying. So just know I'm simply doing this for the purpose of this video. It wasn't something that I bought with the intention of going back on what I said in that vid, but I did want to pick up the corrector in the shade Light Bisque because she was raving on and on and on about it, and basically discussing the fact that by using a color corrector, you can be a lot lighter with your coverage, and you're only applying this onto the areas where you need color correction, and then you're not overusing product on the rest of your face, which I thought was nice. And I am definitely one who piles on the product underneath my eyes. The concealer is in abundance. So I did pick this up in the shade Light Bisque because I wanted to try the method that she did. And much like Katie Jane Hughes, she applied this in very tiny amounts with a little brush, and she was priming the brush as she was going. So I'm going to take this with a little eyeshadow brush, buff it and prime it into the bristles, and then I'm going to apply that so lightly and sparingly onto my dark circles. And one thing that many makeup artists discuss is to not take it right up onto the under eye. You're just applying this very much into that like hollow of the eye. And I like to take it right up into the inner eye. And this is just gonna brighten up that overall area. And even just by that tiny little amount that I had primed into the bristles, hopefully you can see how much that brightens up the inner eye. It literally looks like night and day in there, which is crazy. And because it's already corrected, I don't feel like I need to add so much concealer, which is nice. And obviously if you have like discoloration or places on your face where you have lots of pigment, you can use color correctors accordingly as you wish. I just have a lot of like blue and purple here in my inner corner. So that's great. So taking a little eyeshadow brush is a great tip just across the board. But especially when you're working around the eyes, it can be nice to be slightly more precise with your application and to not overuse product. Then most makeup artists that we've witnessed and seen in the world, they always kind of go between their tools and their fingers. So just constantly patting that in, pressing it into the skin all steps of the way just makes it really soak in. The warmth of your fingers helps it melt into the skin and look completely natural and undetectable on the face. And because we also applied the face cream with our fingers, that's kind of already there and present on my hands. So I just feel like I'm adding moisture and glow every step of the way, which is nice. So just using a tiny little bit of that, I understand. I'm not 100% against color correctors, but I just find I can do without it. But sometimes it's nice to play and have a little, oh wow, I look so bright. Now moving on to concealer, I'm going to use the Tower 28 Serum Concealer. I love this one so much, and I recently picked up the shade BU, which I think has been a beautiful color match for my skin tone, and I'm going to continue on with the priming the brush method, and I'm just going to take some of that concealer onto the palm of my hand. It's going to sit there, it's going to soak in, get nice and warm, and I'm going to work this into the bristles of my brush. This is my Morphe A14 brush, which I love and adore so much for concealer, and I'm going to apply this so lightly, basically into the inner parts of my face where I need coverage. Now I do have quite a lot of active little red breakouts around here, so I might go in and do this a couple of times. But I think one thing that I often surprise myself whenever I sit back and attempt to apply my makeup like a makeup artist is how little coverage you actually need to have an impact on your face. Even though in my mind I find that I have a lot of discoloration in my face, when you actually apply a tiny little layer of product, you can be surprised at how much it does in counteracting that discoloration and any pigment in your face. So many of us just see a little breakout and we automatically just sprint straight to full coverage, whereas if we just took small little amounts of this, maybe a little skin tint, we could do a tinted SPF, or just small little amounts of concealer, you can apply that light layer on, and even with the smallest amount of coverage, you're like, wow, the smallest amount has such a great impact once you actually let it sit in and soak in and absorb without it being cakey or super full coverage. So I'm just taking really small amounts of this concealer and kind of applying it all over my face. I'm mixing between pressing and sweeping motions across my face, and even though I'm not like pinpointing on any one particular area, just having this little wash of concealer just gives that illusion of a very even and perfected base. And I honestly can't rave about this formula enough. It is really, truly so good. So we can keep the concealer on hand for later if we wanted to add more coverage. I might do a little bit of brightening under my eyes or in the center of my face, but for now I'm super happy with how that coverage looks. It's very light, it's very natural looking, and I'm happy to go in with blush. Now, this is just a blush that I have been meaning to try for so long. I've seen so many people rave about it. This is the Rhode blush in the shade Freckle. And I have seen so many people rave about this shade in particular on and on and on online, and I have been so curious to try. I don't love the packaging. It's a little bit like, I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I love the Nude Sticks Nudies blushes so much, where it's just a thin little compact. I felt like this extra bulk is unnecessary, but it's very cute. It's very cute and like modern and girly. I get it. And this looks to be a gorgeous, very like warm, neutral shade. So again, we're gonna prime the brush, buff that into the bristles. This is my Refer 04 brush, and then I'm gonna apply it onto the cheeks. I'm gonna start in really small amounts on the outer half of my cheekbone and try to be very sparing with this, even though even with the tiniest little amount, buffing it into my hand, you're still getting so much product. Again, it's a lovely reminder of how often I overuse products on my face. It's crazy. From what I've seen of this blush online, it appears to be a very juicy, very natural, beautiful, dewy blush. This is a lot more warm than I thought it would be, honestly. It's actually very similar to my Nude Sticks Nude Buff shade, where it's that like bronzer. It's not so much of a blush on me. It's more of a mixture of a bronzer and a blush because it's got such a warm hue. So I'm actually, because of that, I'm just gonna take it up onto my forehead, up into my eye area, and just a little bit closer to my under eye, because that's gonna give that really natural flush look. I think was it Makeup by Ariel who really got us on this train of bringing our blush right up into the under eye and really trying to like marry that area between the under eye concealer and the blush. Many people have talked about it at this point, but I'm just kind of applying it to a wider area under there. Then the one thing I love to do is just go between my brushes. So I just applied it with my blush brush, and now I'm not adding any more product, but I just take my concealer brush and I just run that over top, and I find it helps to blend that area in very nicely. It's a nice blush for sure. It applied nicely. There's nothing like particularly stand out about the formula outside of some of the blushes that I already have, but very pretty, and I can see why people love this color because it's one of those very easy bronzer types that just gives a healthy glow to the skin. Now I am gonna set the layers of my makeup in between, so I do like to take my setting spray. This is the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, and I'm gonna let that soak in before we do anything with powder. So I'm gonna let that soak in. If we need to add any more coverage, we can always add it after the fact, but doing this before powder will just help it all to kind of soak into the skin. And this is usually where I move on to either the eyes or the lips. Now, something that I learned from the Bobbi Brown Masterclass, and I've kind of been implementing it ever since, was how she applied the eye products. And it kind of blew my mind, where with my eyes, I actually really struggle. I struggle with eyeshadow, I struggle with the application, and I find that my eyes are always uneven whenever I apply eyeshadow or eyeliner. There's always kind of a little bit of a lopsided feel between my eyes, but also I find that I can make my eyes look a little bit more dragged down and a little bit more tired. And when she was applying the eye products and the eyeliner onto the model, she did something that really surprised me. One, she applied the product above the crease. Now, whenever I go in with my shadow, I just take my product and I go straight onto the crease and I blend it up. She started by applying the product above the crease. And it kind of made sense. As she was talking about it and doing it, I was like, yeah, I understand. Let's try that. Now I did pick up some of the products from Bobbi Brown. I was surprised that I had never like really clued into these, but they have little eyeshadow stick duos, which is so brilliant if you love an easy everyday makeup. So I bought this one in the shade Taupe and Golden Pink. Taupe is the matte shade, Golden Pink is the little shimmer on top. So it's kind of a little 2-in-1, which is perfect for your everyday makeup bag. Love to see that. And again, we're gonna continue with the priming the brush method. So instead of just going straight onto the eyes with the stick, I'm gonna buff it into the brush first. And then instead of plopping it right into the outer corner, into the crease where I normally would, I'm gonna apply this above the crease. It was such a slight little mini movement that just blew my mind, and I was like, ah! This is gonna help to add definition to the eyes, but it's not gonna drag your eyes down. And she wasn't saying that you can't go into the crease. Like, I'm gonna take this and continue to blend it onto my lid, but like the bulk of the product, the focal point, isn't going to be in the crease. And I just liked that. I liked that moment. I tried it immediately after and I was like, wow, what a difference. Love this so much. Also, that blends out so easily. It's so pretty. And the color is perfect. It's that perfect, really nice light beigey brown. It's not so taupe. I actually find it to be quite a lot warmer than your typical taupe would be, I guess, but love the color. So just blending that all out, very easy peasy. And then I'm just gonna use this same color to kind of demonstrate, but when I would go to apply my eyeliner, I would typically just follow the natural V that my eye creates and kind of pull it out. But what I've found so often when I'm doing my little liner or just applying a liner look with eyeshadow is I end up dragging my eyes down. And something that she did that I've since noticed a lot of people do, and I just never really considered it, was just going above the natural V. So typically I would take my line and pull it straight out. But instead of doing that, just taking that line and lifting it up. So I'm kind of just dragging it a little bit up and I'm just going right into the folds of my crease and using that as my starting point for the liner instead of going directly straight out. And that was just something that I hadn't really considered. I've been doing it ever since. And I feel like I have been giving my face a little bit more of an awake look. So usually I would go right out and try and like connect it with the bottom of my brow, which so many people say to do. And that's fine. It's worked for me up until this point. But instead of that, I'm going a little bit higher up. And then I'm connecting the little V out there just slightly above my crease. And I feel like that has changed my eye makeup forever. Again, I thought it was a great tip. I tried it instantly and I was like, wow, I feel like that is the key that I have been missing in my makeup, and it made such a difference instantly. Hopefully my explanation of that makes sense, but it was a great tip and you should try it. Now I'm gonna go on the other side with the little shimmer and just take that with my finger and apply it onto the inner portion of the lid. And I'm going to take a little bit of the Pat McGrath Black Coffee and I'm just going to wiggle this into the lashes, which is a very classic Lisa Eldridge makeup tip for a very natural, nice way to emphasize and define the lashes without doing a thick liner. And then go ahead and apply mascara. This is the Lancome Hypnose Mascara. I love this so much because my eye makeup is so light and natural that you can hardly detect any lines. You can hardly see that there's any product on there, yet I feel like it's made such a difference and emphasized my eyes in all the right places where you just go out and you're like, wow, I just feel like really glam. And the details on my face are popping, but like you can't see anything. I love that effect so much. It's my favorite thing ever. So now that our makeup has been soaking for a bit, we're gonna go ahead and set it in with powder. Gonna prime the brush. I use a separate brush for this, by the way. I have two of these Morphe brushes. One I use for concealer, one I use for powder. This is the Makeup by Mario Loose Powder, which I've been loving so much. And I'm really tapping off a lot of the excess product and going in with the lightest hand and setting that in. I didn't feel like I needed any extra coverage. Like I could go in and pinpoint some of these little pimples, but especially for my everyday makeup, I really don't mind having a little bit of my redness poking out. I actually love the look of a super light base. Having that wash of concealer all over the face is gonna make it look so even and nice and natural and still clean even if I took a photo. If you look up close at anything, I mean, you're gonna see things for sure, but this just pretty much looks like my skin. Like you really can't see that there's anything on it, which I love. And I also just avoided the cheek area because I don't mind having a little bit of the gloss and the dew stand out. I am going to take some highlight using the Victoria Beckham Pearl highlight, and I'm just going to pat that onto the top of the cheeks. And my love and appreciation for a cream highlighter has really been growing, especially a product like this or the Westman Atelier Nectar I've been loving so much. And for days like this when you have such a natural makeup look, applying a highlighter just makes your cheeks pop. It does so much for your skin. Like, look at what a difference. Instantly, I have so much more glow and shine on my face. It looks so healthy and I just look so hydrated. And all I've done is just taken a little bit with my finger and applied that onto the tops of the cheeks, and it just makes such a difference. You can also do this with powder. Just depends on the look you're going for. I love a cream. Now the final tip that I want to try is one that Katie Jane Hughes recently posted on her TikTok. I've tried this in various methods before, but the specific products that she used, I was like, yes, we need to try this immediately. And it was making your lips look fuller without lip filler. Now, if you've been around, you know that I have my lips done, so we're just adding on top of that. But the method surprised me and I had to try it instantly. So she started with taking the Tower 28 pressed powder and a little puff and putting powder all over her lips. Now I have hydrated my lips. There is lip balm on here, so if you have dry lips, definitely do that before, because this scared me. When I saw how much powder she put on her lips, I was like, oh my God. Okay, so we're just going to start with applying the powder around, and she said that this is going to help make it last all day, not budge around, etc. And then we're going in with contour. So this is the Victoria Beckham contour stick. Sorry, contour stylist. This is in travertine, and we're gonna use this to line the lips. I don't know, it feels so wrong to be doing this, but also it makes so much sense. I've seen some people use like their brow pencil or their eye pencil on their lips, and I've definitely used contour products on my lips in the past, but other than the fact that it's just not like a fine defined tip, why wouldn't the contour shade actually inherently be the perfect lip liner shade for your lips? So I'm just applying this on, and then I'm gonna take a small brush and blend this out. This is actually part of the Katie Jane Hughes Spectrum collection. This is the number 18 brush. It's the perfect little size to do little things like this. And I'm just gonna blend that around the lip. Is this my perfect lip liner shade? Makeup by Ariel is also someone who always applies his lip products with brushes, and I love the look of it when I remember to do it. So this is a nice reminder that, oh yes, using little brushes on your lips is so nice. Do my lips look fuller? Do they look more plump? Is this giving that blurred lip effect? Wait, I feel like that's the perfect color. Okay. Let's add a little bit of color to the lips, shall we? This is the Revlon Rum Raisin. I'm just gonna press that into my lip with a little brush. This is the Real Techniques brush. Love this color so much. The lips definitely have a much more natural lived-in feel versus if I were to have just gone in with my probably too deep lip liner. But I love that idea of just multitasking and using your contour product on your lips as well. What a great little tip. And that, my friends, is the finished makeup look. Every time I do a makeup artist inspired makeup look, I always feel like I have the most beautified and natural enhancement of my features. And when you zoom in and look directly into a mirror, I can't see a damn thing. Like, it literally looks like I woke up like this. I love this style of makeup so much, and I feel like every time I scroll through my favorite makeup artists, I always learn so much and I'm reminded of so many amazing tips. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you guys think of this makeup look? Did you learn anything new today? Are you gonna try any of these techniques? And please let us know in the comments down below if you have any other secret magical makeup hacks that we need to try. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for being here. I will see you all very, very soon for a new one. Thanks for watching. Bye!